All right. In other news, Donald Trump and his MAGA pals are furious that one of the U.S. attorneys he appointed struck a deal with Hunter Biden where the president's son will plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor charges for failing to pay his taxes on time and avoid prosecution on his illegal handgun purchase by agreeing to remain drug-free for 2 years and never own a firearm again. The 5-year investigation by the Trump-appointed prosecutor will result in no jail time for Hunter, which of course led to this reaction from the party that thinks stealing nuclear secrets isn't a crime.
When you look outside the Capitol, you see the Supreme Court, and you see a statue of Lady Justice. She has a scale that's supposed to be equal, but she's wearing a blindfold. I wonder if there was a blindfold on to the prosecutor when it came to Hunter Biden.
So I don't care if they're Trump appointed. I don't care if they were part of his former administration. Those people that have known about these Biden crimes and sold our country out, they should be held accountable too.
The scary thing for me is it's not just about the president going after President Trump. It's going after parents at school board meetings. If you're a pro-life Catholic, you're an extremist. If you're a journalist, for goodness sake, they went after Matt Taibbi.
I just learned a lot just now that, like, if I'm going to commit crime, I should do some crack first, right? Because then if I do the crack, then I could say I have a problem, and then they do this diversion thing. So always have crack with you when you're committing a crime.
Well, Dan, wannabe dictator Joe Biden let a prosecutor appointed by his political opponent charge his own son. Should we impeach this lawless thug? What do you think?
I've been thinking about how Trump is going to respond to this, and I think he's going to pivot seamlessly from Joe Biden wannabe dictator to Joe Biden so weak that he let his own attorney general arrest his son.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, Trump would say, oh, I wouldn't have let that happen, but Trump's kids, he probably would have let that happen.
He would have protected Ivanka and maybe Donald Trump Jr., but Eric and Tiffany, he would have let Merrick Garland haul them off a long time. They'd be in Gitmo right now if he thought of it.
You want to explain the truth of what happened here for people?
Yeah, we should be very clear. 5 years ago, a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney began a wide-ranging investigation into everything having to do with Hunter Biden, including his international business dealings, how he made money. And at the end of that process, and even after Joe Biden was elected, the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney stayed on the job to continue on this investigation to ensure there was no political interference now that the father of the subject of that investigation was now the President of the United States. And at the end of that, they didn't find any of all the conspiracy theories, all the things that Jim Jordan and Jim Comer and Donald Trump and Fox News have been talking about. What they found out was that he failed to report some of his income and therefore underpaid on his taxes. And there was a gun crime involved from the time in which he was dealing with problems with addictions.
Even that, though, what he did was he went to go buy a gun. And when you buy a gun, it says on a form, are you addicted to drugs, or have you done drugs in the last 2 months? And he said no, and that was a lie. And so they gave him the gun, and that was it.
Also, what a system we have, people.
I know. Yeah, it's going to do a whole other thing on gun laws and what it requires. Yeah, just it's on your honor. Was that right next
to the box that said, I don't intend to commit a crime with this gun?
On your honor. Yeah, you just got to, that's it. That's all we need. We just need you to fill out this form. And you know what? I'm sure the NRA is trying to get rid of that form altogether. We should not make people go through the process of having to fill out this cumbersome form. Give them the gun when they walk in. Anyway.
And so at the end of that process, he pled guilty of those crimes. He agreed to pay his back taxes, and he's entered a diversion program and agreed to never purchase a gun again. That is a completely normal, standard outcome for a process like this. There is no evidence of favoritism. There's no evidence of involvement from Joe Biden. If there was, do you think the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney would say something about it to someone? Perhaps.
The only thing truly unusual about the way this case was handled is the fact that the Trump-appointed attorney stayed on in the Biden administration, and Merrick Garland, the attorney general, said in a public letter at the beginning of this whole process, this Trump-appointed U.S. attorney has the full authority to investigate this case, to make charging decisions, to decide when he's going to bring charges, what kind of charges, which is extremely unusual because Merrick Garland is the guy's boss. But because of the potential conflict of interest, Merrick Garland said, this guy is in charge. He gets to make all the decisions. Appointed by Trump, started the investigation under the Trump administration. I'm sorry, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Kevin McCarthy, that he didn't charge Hunter with a bunch of crimes that comport with the conspiracies you've come to believe because your heads are stuck in the fucking MAGA media echo chamber with a whole bunch of conspiracies about how Hunter did all these international crimes with China and Burisma and everything else. Like, I know that's what you think he did, but we had actual investigators who were not Democrats, in fact, are Trump-appointed Republicans, look into it, and they didn't find anything. So, like, someone should ask them, like, what would you have done? Would you have just made up charges for Hunter Biden? Would you
yes,
have...
that's what they would have done. What kind of question is that?
Of course, but, like, someone should ask... That's a good question from a reporter.
All right, we'll see if Brett Baird does it.
What do you... Our only hope. Our only hope. Also, guess who would have gotten a similar deal to Hunter Biden had he just pled guilty or made a deal with prosecutors? Donald fucking Trump, who is, being tried for crimes that are a bit more severe than Hunter's, stealing nuclear secrets. And a lot of legal experts were saying that if Donald Trump struck a deal with the prosecutor, he could have avoided what's about to happen to him as well. But he doesn't want to, because he doesn't listen to his fucking lawyers. He listens to Judicial Watch's Tom Fitton. That's who Donald Trump listens to. Also, IRS lawyers have said that this is typical of what happens to people who don't pay their taxes on time. One IRS lawyer told Politico, if we prosecuted for failure to pay taxes, the jails would be full. Oftentimes, they don't even prosecute cases like Hunter's, so that's why there was a deal. And a lot of people say, weapons charge, that people do time for weapons charges. A first-time weapons charge like this that doesn't involve any violence, which is just, lying to buy the handgun, this is what you usually get. And by the way, if the judge if the judge really thinks this is some sweetheart deal, like Kevin McCarthy says, like all these Republicans are accusing him of, the judge doesn't have to approve the plea deal. The judge can say, oh, no, this was a sweetheart deal. I don't want to do this. So we'll see. We'll see what the judge does. But I'm sure whoever the judge is, even if it was a Trump-appointed judge, they'll get attacked as just some Biden stooge. Because that's their deal. That's what they're doing. Where does the story go next, politically and legally? Is this the end of this, or what?
Well, it's certainly not the end of it politically. The Republicans, as evidenced by the clip we played, are in a lather about it. There's going to be investigations into the investigation. There are going to be hearings. Jim Comer, the famously incompetent chair of the Government Oversight Committee, has promised to dig deep into this. There's this FBI whistleblower who seems to be a complete fraud involved. This is going to continue. There is no chance that the Republicans are going to let go of their conspiracy theories and just say, I was wrong. Good for justice. And so this will continue to be part of it. We'll see it all the way through the election. But for the vast majority of people who live outside of the MAGA bubble, this is probably resolved, which is politically what Democrats want.
Yeah. Today.